All right, if your KTM or Husky fuel injected two-stroke is running like this, keep watching this video. I got an easy fix that you can try at home without taking the bike to the dealership. All right, so as you saw in that last clip, my bottom end and mid-range is breaking up so much. Now, I've gone 44 hours problem-free. This started happening pretty much instantly during a regular afternoon ride one day, and it was really frustrating. I ended up taking the bike to a dealership, the one I bought it off of. They only sell KTMs, so I figured they knew what they were doing. The bike spent 3 hours there, basically, and the issue was never identified. The dealership messed with my idle screw, told me that the bike was behaving normally. The bike didn't want to idle, ran like a bag of dicks. And I also ended up calling KTM's North America tech support to see if they could kind of give me an indication of a common issue, which they were unable to do. They told me to take the bike to the dealership. So I decided to take things into my own hands. So in short, the crankcase pressure sensor was to blame for these issues on my bike. So let me dive into this a little bit. We have 2 pressure sensors on these bikes. The first of which, you can see right under here, you see this hose coming out of the back of the cylinder. This hose goes up and you can't really see where it goes. It's tucked away in there pretty nicely. That is the crankcase pressure sensor. So as the bike is running, that's reading pressure inside of the crankcase. It's sending data to the ECU, and that is affecting your fueling. If you have an error with that sensor, if it goes bad, then you will not be getting proper fuel flow into the cylinder, and the bike will run like poo. Now, thankfully, we actually have the exact same sensor on the other side doing something a little bit different. Here's another pressure sensor, exact same part number, same exact part. But if you come down here, you'll notice that this one isn't really connected to anything. That's because that one is measuring your atmospheric pressure. So that has more of an impact on your idle more than anything else. It does affect your air-fuel ratio, but it's really not gonna have a noticeable impact while you're riding. So the way to troubleshoot, if this is causing issues for your bike, is to swap those 2 sensors. So as of when I'm filming this clip, I actually already swapped those 2 sensors. However, I'm gonna go back when I put the new one in and show you how you can access both of them. It takes about 20 minutes, don't need any fancy tools. It's a really easy fix, and it's much better than going out and buying a new ECU, replacing your cylinder. Try this, it's a $40 part, and if this doesn't do it, then go crazy. It was a huge headache for me, and it was such an easy fix that I wanna spread awareness so that when people have issues with these bikes on their own, they can fix it. I've heard of dudes getting bad CCPSs from the factory. I've heard of people not having this problem until they're at who knows how many hours. So it really can happen at any time. I don't think necessarily being a supermoto is to blame for the sensor going bad, but stay tuned. I'm gonna show you how to access those 2 sensors. I'll put the new one in. I'm also gonna connect to the ECU so I can reset the idle that the dealership messed with. All right, so a little preview of what's to come. So this is the lubrication system in the service manual. Right here, this is your oil tank. Come down a little bit. This is that black tray I was talking about, and you can see the 2 sensors. Come down a little bit further, and these are the 3 screws that hold that tray in. So gonna pop the seat off, radiator shrouds off, pop the tank off. I'm not actually going to take it off, but I'll show you where the screws are and everything, kind of give you a better look, and then I will be replacing the bad sensor. Okay, so we have everything off the bike. Let's take a look at what needs to be done. So first of all, you've got your crankcase pressure sensor line right here. You can go ahead and disconnect the top of it. You can just use a pair of pliers, and this plug right here is the sensor. So you're gonna go ahead, unplug this line, and then you have 2 screws on this side that you'll have to loosen. Let's see, so the first of which you can see right there, The second one is right there. These are both Torx bits. So one of them you'll have to use this. I believe it's the one on the left side because I believe this is the oil pump. Your plug for the oil pump gets in the way of using a regular ratchet. The one on the right goes how to get yourself some Torx bits for your 1/4" drive ratchet, and that'll make your life a whole lot easier. So then coming over to the other side, this one is a little tricky. You can barely see it back in there. And that, once you loosen it, it'll let you drop that whole tray. Once you drop the whole tray, you have a Torx screw holding the sensor down onto the tray. So you'll be able to lower the tray down, get your Torx bit in there, loosen it up, and then you can just pop the sensor out, put the new one in, plug it in, bolt everything back up. I already did that, so I'm not doing it. On the other side here, this is my bad sensor. You don't need to remove the tray to get this one out. All right, so here's the old one right here. This is the new one. There's the part number. And it is the exact same. You can hear it just seated. All right, so everything's back together. Now I kind of want to reinitialize the data in the ECU, because if it was reading bad numbers from the bad sensor while it was being used for ambient pressure, that could throw off my idle kind of permanently. So there is a reinitialization process. I'm going to start the bike up, let it warm up for 5 whole minutes, shut it off, wait 30 seconds, and then start it back up. That should kind of reset everything. I'll take it for a test ride at that point, and then afterwards, tomorrow morning, I'm gonna let the bike cool down completely. Tomorrow morning, once the bike is completely cool, I'll check and see where the idle is and adjust that as necessary. But I'm expecting when I fire this up, it still might be a little wonky with the idle. And like I said, it could just be bad data in the ECU from the bad sensor throwing it off. All right, here's the moment of truth. Let's see what it does without the cold start on. As expected, not 100% perfect. All right, so already this thing is sounding way more consistent than it did prior to the fix. So I'm pretty optimistic. 30 seconds of waiting is up. So I'm gonna go ahead and fire this thing back up, and then I'll get geared up and go for a test. Oh my God. It's already so buttery. Oh my God. It's already so buttery. So I don't know how well you can tell, and obviously we're still not 1000% broken in yet. Well, listen to how little breakup there is at the low end. All right, so it's the next day. I just took the bike out for a solid 30 minutes. It felt amazing. The only complaint is the idle's high. So popped off my air cover on the 20s. Your diagnostic connector's down here. It's got this cover on it, which you can just pop off. On the 18s and 19s, I think it's actually under the seat. It's just above the subframe. So plug this in and then should be able to connect it with my phone once the bike is running, and it'll tell me what the idle's at. I'm gonna move over here so it's a little quieter. So I'm connected on my phone. I opened up, there's a free app car scanner. As you can see, now we're getting our idle speed, and it actually looks to be just a hair high. So I'm gonna adjust this a little bit. It should be 14 to 1500. And after that, I'm gonna check for codes. This app can do that as well. And then this thing will be 100% ready to go. As you can see, our engine speed right now is bouncing pretty consistently between mid 1400s and mid 1500s. And I'd rather have the idle a little too high than a little too low. So I'm pretty happy with where this is at. It's idling really nicely now. And now for some before and after clips. Alright guys, so that's the end of this video. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully this helps you out if you're having problems with your bike. And if you liked the video, subscribe for more. I have some pretty interesting news, some new content coming. So like the video, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.